This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we return to our senior salutes for teams who saw their seasons erased by the COVID-19 pandemic. In this episode, we chat with the senior captains and the head coaches for the Bates basketball programs. That's coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The Bates women's basketball team got a couple games in this winter, splitting a pair of contests against Colby, but the vast majority of the season was wiped out by the pandemic. On top of that, senior captain Julia Middlebrook did not get the chance to play in the team's 2 games due to injury. Despite that setback, the energetic Middlebrook looks back fondly on her time at Bates.
Julia, just take us back. Growing up in Connecticut, when did you first really start to get into basketball? How did you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, so I think looking back to the beginning of my career, it definitely started at a young age. And I think the passion that I found with basketball was that the ability to do so many things with the ball. You can dribble, you can score, you can pass, you can defend. And I think just having the ability to do so much for the sport made me realize that I love it. And I definitely think being able to have 3 sisters all around the same age as me, like playing outside, definitely gave me more energy as well as motivation to get better at it as well.
When did you start thinking, I could maybe play this in college?
I think definitely an early age. I was on like a really like high level caliber AAU team, like in 7th grade, where kind of like my mindset and through my coaches and my people that I played with was that like you can play at the collegiate level for it. So that was definitely in the back of my mind. I played other sports too in high school, but I don't know, like I just wanted to keep playing it. That was in my mind from like a middle school age as well.
And the position of point guard, it's a real leadership role to begin with. Is that something you you obviously embrace that, right? Being able to kind of run things.
Yeah, I think that in high school and college, like being a point guard as well as a shooting guard, or just being a guard in general, like you really have to use your voice to call the plays, but as well as communicate with your teammates to make sure everyone's on the same page. And with that being said, I also think it's good to just being able to cheer people on and like understanding like what everybody's position should be. I think that's definitely in the point guard, but I also think that's in any position that I've played on the court, because that's kind of part of who I am. That's part of how I was able to show myself as a player.
And then how did Bates first pop up on your radar when you're looking for colleges?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I actually had no idea what Bates was, just because I'm from Connecticut, like it's a little farther up north. But I actually saw my coach at a tournament, and I didn't realize it was her. But I was like, oh, it was like Bates blue or red. Like I just had no idea, kind of. But she saw me, and then she sent me an email, and right away I went up to visit, and I really made a difference when I was looking at other schools about just like, wow, like I could see myself here, and I could definitely see myself as a college athlete as well. As soon as I heard Bates Bobcat, I'm like, oh, I love the alliteration. I'm coming here.
Well, had you ever been to Maine before?
No, I have not. Yeah, the first time I went to Bates was the first time I was in Maine. So it really was like a little bit of a shell shock. I was like, wow, yeah, I can just keep on going north and there's still more land. So yeah, it was definitely different, but I have loved every second of it.
And you come in as a first year and you get to play right away, and you were named to the all rookie team in the state of Maine. What was that experience like, being able to get on the court right away here?
Yeah, I think coming in as a freshman, it's definitely more of like, oh my gosh, like I want to fit in. I want to be part of a team. So there's definitely that mindset as well. But then being able to be on the court and just, making a difference as a freshman was definitely kind of surreal. I definitely felt like, wow, like I got to be part of a program right away and make a difference and make my mark, as well as being able to, be a freshman and like make mistakes and, be able to look up to other teammates as well was definitely like a big part. And learning, I think also being a freshman, you just learn a lot about yourself as well as from your coaches and as a player and student that you are as well.
And then the experience of playing an alumni gym, it's obviously special for everyone, no matter which team they're on, whether it be men's basketball, women's basketball, volleyball. What was it like for you?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to start saying back to my college years, but I just think that playing in alumni has been definitely a highlight of my collegiate career. It's just like you're in that environment. I just think that sometimes shots go in when they're not supposed to, or calls are made when you're not supposed to. And like each time I play, even in practice, I'm just like alumni magic. You know, we often joke about that on our team, but like it is a real thing. And you know, it's funny. Whatever last month when we played and the new freshmen got to play, I'm like, guys, no one can really explain it, but it just works. And you know, it was so funny. Like I felt one of the freshmen like felt that right away, and just like, oh yeah, you know. And I think that was a great learning moment for me of just like passing it on. It's like you have to believe it, and once you start believing it, it just makes it such a difference in your games. And maybe it's a mindset, but as well, that's like everything, you know, other superstitions that you have as well. And yeah, I just think the coaches, the fans, the community understands that as well too, which is really incredible.
Yeah, and the women's team, obviously a tremendous record, especially the past couple of seasons, you know, in alumni gym. What were some memorable games for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, so many. I think that for me, I guess honestly, going back to the last time I got to play in overtime was Middlebury, just the last time I took the court there, just because we're coming off of an OT loss against Williams, and then that we were able to bounce back and play there. And I just remember finishing that game and being like, wow, like here's to another kind of like generation of just like winning more games and being part of something that's just like so great and amazing. Clearly kind of it took a little turn for the worse, but you know, I'm so excited to see, you know, in the next seasons to come, and the players that I've been able to play with, how they're able to continue that record and continue that pride that they have for the program.
Another memorable game I would say would be your double overtime win over UNE, right? You hit that.
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely. That. Oh wow. Yeah. That was 2 years. My sophomore year, I think. Oh yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Being able to hit that and just be like, whoa, we got the dub. But yeah, and also I just think the best part of winning games alumni is coming up to the locker room and just being able to pop off with your teammates and, you know, share that celebration. Like sometimes when you have bad days in practices or you have bad games, just like being able to come away with a W and perform well is just something so exciting to share with your team as well.
Yeah, what's been the most gratifying part of playing, you know, Division III basketball with Bates in the Nets, you know, beat on this team? What's been the best part for you in general, kind of?
I think personally, it's just being able to be with a group of young women that might not are the different ages me, come from all across the country, might not look like me, might be tall, whatever, taller, shorter. And I just think being able to have this common ground that we all love basketball. And I think that when I'm looking into the next stage of my life, that like I'm never going to have that again, which I think is so sacred and so special, because you're able to bond with these groups of women that coming into college, you have no idea who they were. And I'm leaving, which I know everything about them, you know, and they know everything about me, and that you're able to see me at like my highest and my lows and being able to really connect with them. I think the bond, it's almost, it's amazing. And I think people, yes, you have high school sports, but it's just another level. Like you're living with these girls, you're playing with them, for basketball, you're doing holidays with them. You know, it's just kind of surreal how like when you're spending so much time with a group of people, like, yes, you're going to love them, but also you're going to understand that like, there's good times and bad times, but you have to stick with them because, you know, they're essentially your family for the 4 years that you play basketball at this program.
And this year, the senior, you mentioned the turn for the worst, kind of obviously with the pandemic and everything. And you stuck with them, and then they got to play 2 games, but you were injured. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Well, not that funny, but you know, one of the great things that I often thought about was that like, wow, like I kind of went my whole career, and this was like kind of this past winter of my career, just like, wow, I've never gotten hurt. Like I've never had to use crutches, never been in a boot. I love my trainers love me, but I've never had to, you know, do intensive PT with them. And, you know, the day before the Colby weekend, I, you know, had my uniform on, was getting the team fired up, and I just took one bad turn, and, you know, I kind of royally destroyed my knee in terms of tearing my ACL and my meniscus and all that other jazz. But I think doing that, I'm beginning to realize that, yes, I wasn't able to play, you know, the games against Colby, but I've kind of beginning to learn more about myself, that it's just like playing this sport has taught me a lot more than being able to shoot a hoop or just to be with my teammates, but it's like to rely on a group that's going to be there for me. And that has just been shown in even the PT on campus, like my teammates coming in and like, you know, I wish they were cheering me on shooting some threes, but if I can get my flexion to 115 degrees today, they're going to be there for me. And those are like the little things that, I'm beginning to remember that like, that's what your teammates are here for. And that's what your coaches are here for. They're here to support you. And they're supposed to love you even when you're just celebrating the little things.
And you told me before we started recording that no one even believed you when you said you were injured, right? Because you never get hurt.
Yeah. And now looking back, it's kind of funny how my reaction, I think no one was expecting it, because I was kind of like in shock. I was like, oh my God, I know I just told him, I know I did a boo-boo and it's not going to be just a little scrape. And I just thought, I felt for my team just like, and my coaches, just like how sad they were for me. And that just, coming back into my gym, like I'll never forget it, because yes, it was so sad, but also I've just never felt so much love, people just like really like looking at you and just like feeling for you. And I could just see I was hurt, but everyone in that room was really hurt. And that has just meant so much to me. And I think that when you think about the hard times of being an athlete, and even in my darkest moment as an athlete walking into that gym, I just have felt so much support and love that, I never thought I was going to get, or never was going to feel, because I didn't even think I was ever going to get injured. So that's definitely been another element that I've realized, that being a part of a program that when you're in it and you put a lot of effort into, you're going to get that return, because people see how hard you work on and off the court with your teammates and your coaches as well.
And it must have been cool to see the first years, you touched on it earlier, get a chance to finally play, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely felt a little old this year, just being the only senior, only captain on campus. But, I don't get me wrong, I'll have all the energy in the world till the day I die. But man, these freshmen gave me life, just like seeing them being able to practice and have their jerseys, learn the new drills, ask questions and be a part of a team that, we're apart for so long, just, gave me encouragement to like, as I'm leaving this team, graduating college, that like the fierceness, the passion that these girls are going to have is going to continue on, because that's what being a part of this program is. And this is what you have to bring to the table. And that's going to be cool to watch even next year when everyone's back together, being able to, have a real season and play against in NESCAC play and conference play as well.
Terrific. And then for you personally, obviously the immediate goal is to recover from the injury and be able to, walk normally and whatnot around campus and everything. But in terms of the near future for you, what else is on the table?
Yeah. So I think for me, which I also have to, thank my coaches and athletic staff, and as well as Bates College, is that I'm able to go into a job that I'm a history major, but I'm going into a field that's like, not really with history, it's with coding and technology. So being able to kind of have the confidence, and I think I have 100% gotten that from my coaches and from my teammates, that, chase your dreams and do something different if you want. And, just because you have the opportunity of having a liberal arts background and being able to be a college athlete, is that you have the confidence to do something that's not typically done before, that, when you're walking into a job interview or you're walking into the next career that like maybe you're not quote unquote suited for, that doesn't mean you can't get it. And I definitely have learned that firsthand, just going into a field that's not typically what history majors do.
Excellent. Well, any other thoughts you wanted to share that you haven't gone to talk about your time at Bates?
I don't think so. I just think that my experience has definitely been with my team, but I also, the support that I've gotten with my friends who are also college athletes has definitely been awesome, to have those relationships, being able to have conversations about, maybe they weren't on my team, but they were, having the same experience as well. And understanding what a grind it is to, go to practice, try to be your best all the time, to put a good face forward, even when you don't want to, has definitely been helpful. And then also just the coaching staff that my team has had just been incredible. I think when I look back, all of them have just been so supportive and have really allowed me to be who I am. And don't get me wrong, I definitely test the water sometimes with my jokes and my spirit, but I think they have all done a great job in just allowing me to be expressing for who I am and really embodying that as well on the team. So I'm so thankful for this experience that I've had. And I think if you told me 4 years ago what my journey at Bates was going to be, I don't think I would have believed you, just because I have loved it so much. And that if you told myself 4 years ago I would have been injured, I'd be like, no way. But, I think it's part of life, and it's part of, you don't really know the unknown until you live it. And that's been kind of what I've been getting to learn, and just ready for the next chapter.
Head coach Alison Montgomery joins the Bobcast to look back on Middlebrook's career and to give us an update on the women's basketball program as a whole. For Montgomery, the spark Middlebrook gave the Bobcats through the years was evident from the first time she saw her play.
In recruiting, I always like to look for high motor players, like kids who are just always going hard and competing every possession on both ends. And she definitely displayed that. Also a really good teammate, just always has her head up, always communicating. And so I really, really like those two qualities about her while watching her, and then getting to know her. She had that same kind of energy and same just kind of gift for communicating that I really appreciate.
Yeah, and she was a captain both her junior and senior year. I mean, you mentioned the communication, and obviously the enthusiasm is apparent to everyone, right?
So apparent. It just makes an unbelievable difference for morale, for competitiveness. She just has a way of, she just has a gift of inclusivity, just kind of making everybody feel like they're an important member of our team. And that has gone so far, along with her just natural tendency to just kind of understand how awesome every opportunity is to compete. It's something that I think we talk about a lot as a team. And I know a lot of coaches talk about, we talk about that across all contexts, I think, not just in athletics, but just kind of having perspective and looking at the positive side of things. And she just does that, naturally. So it brings a ton to our team.
And you had her playing at point guard and at shooting guard, right? Different positions kind of during her time. What do you see from her at both spots?
Yeah, great question. I think she, no matter what we asked of her in terms of what she was doing positionally, she always was able to manage she was so consistent with bringing what we relied on in terms of her energy, in terms of her defensive intensity, in terms of her ability to communicate. So just having some flexibility there, in her younger years, she handled the point a little bit more, and then having some other players who could do that, it freed her up a little bit. She's really been a huge spark for us in terms of being one of our best shooters, just highest percentage shooters. So when she didn't have to manage the point as much, that allowed us the opportunity to kind of set her up for her 3-point shooting.
Any moments that you recall during her time that really kind of embody who she is and as a player, as a teammate?
A million. I think there's a couple, just sort of in our practice settings. She's really good at, I know I'm going to miss this a ton next year because I think she does it more than I even realize, but it just kind of understanding the vibe on the team, and sort of when the team maybe isn't meeting my expectation or the team's not focused, she just has a great way of sort of pulling people together and getting the most out of her teammates. And I'm thinking of one specific example where she had one teammate who was really struggling. It was an individual shooting drill, and we had set the expectation that everyone had to get it at a certain practice. And we had one teammate who just could not get it. She couldn't get it. And obviously, when you're a member of a team and you're struggling in that way, it does not feel great. Maybe you lose some confidence. Maybe that can affect the rest of your practice. And so after that drill ended and the team had to run, at the end of practice, we had to select one teammate to hit some free throws in order to end practice for us. And when I said who's going to shoot them, without even skipping a beat, Julia immediately called on this teammate and says she's going to step up and hit him. When that teammate was probably feeling down, probably feeling like, you want me to, and that kid stepped up and hit those shots. And I think that's just an example of Julia being able to, she just knew what that kid needed, what our team needed, and was able to give that kid confidence. I think in games, I can think of so many moments. I think of her freshman year when we beat Middlebury in a home game and she kind of hit a baseline jumper to win it. I think about that moment, and I think about a couple moments last year. Again, it was our game against Middlebury that we won in overtime, where she just hit some key shots, made some defensive plays that really kind of sealed that win for us. So she has, I could go on and on and on, but those ones kind of stick out right now.
Certainly. And then obviously I talked with her a little bit about this, but the team got to play a couple games this year, but she got injured in practice before. She told me she was trying to pump the team up and she got hurt, and she had not been hurt at all during her career, right?
Unbelievable. I could not believe it when the moment happened. In my time coaching her, I've never even experienced, like, she's never even had a sore muscle that she's spoken of, a sprained ankle, a sprained finger, so I've never seen her injured. So she, and to injure herself so badly, completely blew out her knee. When it first happened, I thought, I don't know, it just didn't register to me that this was a possibility. I thought she was a little immune to injury. So I can't really express just sort of the emotional weight of that. I think not only because of who Julia is and what she brings to our team, but just having this, she brought unbelievable positivity and energy to a year that was really hard for her on a lot of levels. I think being the only senior this year to sort of lead her team, to lose a season for someone who's been, her commitment to our program has been unmatched, and the growth that has happened in her time, and a lot because of her, to lose a season, it has seemed so cruel. And I know athletes, across divisions, all athletes like feel this way. But for just us personally, it has felt kind of cruel. So to have this opportunity to say, like, okay, great, like, we're preparing for 2 games, which was something that was really unexpected and not something we really thought we were going to have an opportunity to do, was just beyond exciting. So for her to injure herself like the night before we were going to play in those games, was pretty devastating for her and for our team, definitely for me. But she pretty much immediately embraced just what positive she could find in that situation, and she was incredibly supportive of her teammates that weekend, and it was also quite an experience for our team to suddenly be without Julia and to realize the weight that she carries with her leadership. Everyone knew that, but I think then when it was missing, it was like, wow, she has such a powerful impact on our team, and a little preview to next season in terms of the weight that other players will have to carry sort of with that emotional leadership.
Well, if folks watch the highlights from the win over Kobe at Alumni Gym, you'll see Julia in the background hopping up and down one leg, right? So still keeping that enthusiasm.
You will, for sure. Yes. And just, yelling her heart out on the sideline. Yep.
Excellent. And then, Taylor McVeigh was going to be a senior this year. She's coming back next year. Obviously those decisions had to be made across all sports. Looking at how did that go about from your perspective, talking with some of the student athletes about, their options kind of?
It was really hard, just this, like so many decisions have been during this time, because there's so many unknowns. With Taylor specifically, Taylor is, one of the most mature, just intelligent women I've ever coached. And she's pretty decisive. So, that goes back to when I recruited her. She was one of the I've never recruited someone who so early was able to say, yeah, this is a match. This is where I want to be, and I'm coming. And I was like, really? there's, she's just decisive, and she knows what she wants for herself. And so she made the decision pretty early on, and just kind of was able to say, despite, what might happen, I know this is the best decision for me in terms of being in a situation where I'm controlling my own destiny a little bit. And just felt like, no matter what, the season was not going to be normal, even if, we did have an opportunity to play. And she's also a woman. In talking to our athletes about this decision, my biggest piece of advice was just sort of, you got to have a plan if you're going to take the year off, because a year is a long time. This is kind of, it's a formidable part of their lives. And I think they have a lot to offer at this, stage in their life. So I just wanted them to feel like they could be productive, that they were moving forward instead of standing still during this year. I think just to keep their sanity, for their emotional, mental, physical health, like they just had to have a good plan. So again, sort of who Taylor is in terms of her maturity, her intelligence, like she had it lined up, like she's preparing to go to medical school. after Bates. And so she has used her year very productively. So we missed her a lot, of course. We've stayed really connected. We've missed her, but I am also really thrilled that we'll have her for another season and in what will, hopefully be much more normal.
Yeah. What did the team get out of the 2 games you were able to play against Colby? What did you notice?
Well, great opportunity for, our younger players or players who don't have as much game experience, just by nature of, after we lost Julia, being out 4 starters in a sport where you only have 5 of those, was a really unique opportunity for those athletes to just kind of step into that role and see what that felt like. And, I feel like as a coach, for the most part, when you can put people in a position with more responsibility and you raise your expectations, they can meet them, so I think that was really cool, just to be without, like I said, Julia's leadership, and also the leadership and just the play of 4 usual starters who carry that weight. It was cool to see other women step into that role. And then obviously I think just the opportunity for our freshmen to put on a uniform, to compete against another, specifically a conference opponent too, just to get a little feel of that before they'll be sophomores, I think was really, really valuable. So I never thought I would say like, like two games against a conference opponent's going to prepare our freshmen for the sophomore year. But I do feel like, those 2 days gave us a ton, and it was neat for us too, as coaches, just to kind of see, when you recruit and you welcome people to your program, you have a certain vision, but to be honest, none of us really know how that's going to play out, how it translates, what kids do at the next level, how they're able to mentally adjust. And so it was really cool for us to see that. And, we are really excited about this freshman class. So I think it was really valuable.
Terrific. Well, any other thoughts you want to share about the senior class of 1, essentially, Julia Middlebrook?
I just can't say enough. Like, she just, she fills my heart every single day. I think, the legacy that she's left on this program is just incredible. It's gonna last, and who she is to me as a coach, those moments that you kind of asked me about, those are going to stick with me throughout my coaching career kind of forever. And just a woman that I know will be in my life long after she leaves Bates, and she's going to do some pretty awesome things. And I just think the last thing I would say is I can't tell you how many times this year I recognized how lucky I was as leader of this program to have her sort of driving the ship as a senior. I mean, seniors are in a hard place this year, and it's a tough thing as a coach to know how much we include them in the continued sort of forward movement of our program, and how much space you give them to sort of mourn and grieve what they've lost. And, they're kind of moving on, but she was just so present every day. I mean, she was the one that was telling the freshmen, yeah, we're meeting for a 7 a.m. lift, and we're, this is what we do. This is Bates women's basketball. So I am so grateful for her for what she's given every single year to our program. But I think this year it's like, I think one of my biggest concerns going into this year is like, do we lose ground in the culture that we've created in this program just because of all the challenges in continuing to move that forward with all the restrictions and sort of lack of a normal season? And she just plowed right through it, and she let our culture prevail, and she just led our troops right through that. So I'm so grateful for that.
Excellent. Alison Montgomery, thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron.
The Bates men's basketball team scrimmaged once with Bowdoin, but that was it for the Bobcats this season. Bates is led by 4 senior captains: David Akinyemi, Billy Lahart, James Mortimer, and Raheem Spence.
Gentlemen, let's just start with how you first got interested in Bates. Take us back to high school when you're looking. Billy, let's start with you in terms of how you first got interested in becoming a Bobcat.
Sure. Thanks for having us, Aaron. For me, I would say that I always had the NESCAC in mind going through the college process and playing basketball throughout high school. I always knew that I wanted to go to a place that had a small community, liberal arts college where, you can get to know everybody on campus and, balance your academics and basketball in a way that would really get the best out of you and, challenge you to grow. So I would say that when I came to the elite camp, a lot of other players that come through this program start by going to the elite camp hosted by Coach Furbush. I just really like the energy that he brought. I could see that that was reflected in the guys of the program. So for me, that's kind of how I got interested in Bates and what led me to come here.
Terrific. Raheem, how about for you?
I think quite simply, it was McCoy Nickel. I don't know if you know him, but he graduated in 2018. Yeah, he was a football player. He put Bates on the radar for me. Me and McCoy went to the same school. We went to A1 Old Farms in Connecticut. So he was, I think he was a junior when I was a freshman originally. And then I did like a 5th year high school. And then, yeah, he put me on the Bates. And then once I came here and like visited, obviously for basketball, I met with Furbush, and I just loved how great of a guy he was. I just got this like charisma, and he actually like cared about me as a player, you know, that like other coaches didn't really have that same, I guess, like affect.
Excellent. Yeah, David, how about for you?
For me, it was kind of just playing basketball in high school and then kind of listening to like my college coaches and as well as college recruiters and trying to find the balance between like the most academic vigor, but tied in with the most like competitive basketball. So I think I was talking to a lot of my high school coaches and a lot of like counselors. And then I went to, I think it was a hoop group, like all academic camp. And I was able to meet a lot of the NESCAC coaches there, but the one that stuck out to me was Bates. The assistant coach at the time there was Coach Sam Horning, and just the way that he spoke about the program and how things were run. And then once I had my visit, like I knew like this was somewhere I wanted to compete at.
Terrific. And James, last but not least, in terms of how you first got interested in Bates.
Yeah, I'd say a combination of everyone else's experience. Like the elite camp was big for me, meeting Furbush and kind of seeing how he operated. Practice was big, just bringing that energy and that passion, and also just off the court being there for you and really creating just a personable relationship. I'd played with Jeff Spellman in high school a little bit, so I knew he was here, and that kind of brought my eyes to the program and kind of put it on the map for me. So yeah, I mean, I had that kind of NESCAC trajectory like Bill, and I'm glad I ended up here, and it's been a fun 4 years.
Looking back on all your careers, maybe some memorable games, out there on the alumni gym court or possibly on the road in particular for each of you. We'll go in reverse order this time. James, start with you in terms of memorable games.
Yeah, I think that the most memorable game for me was the Middlebury game last year, just to give us that bump into the playoffs. I didn't play a great game, but the thing about us is teammates always have our backs, and Gilpin with that shot, it's so clear in my brain. It's really just a special moment running out there with all the guys.
Excellent. David, how about for you?
Yeah, definitely. I would have said that as well as my answer, but he already said it. So I'd probably say, I think it was one game, maybe my junior year, we played, I want to say like UNE, and we probably beat them by like 30, but it was the one game where we had the entire team, like everyone played, everyone scored, and it was just honestly like a moment where I felt like so like proud to be a Bobcat, just proud to be on this team, proud of not only myself but like everyone, like because they contributed to this win. So that's definitely what it was.
Definitely, yeah, that was a great one. Raheem, how about for you?
I would have to say, I think last year, a game against Wesleyan where Cody hit that game-winning layup, which was pretty crazy. Yeah, that game was amazing. And Wesleyan was a great team. And I don't know, I can just remember him in that layup. It was a weird like layup too. The bounce was perfect. I was just so like happy.
They beat us bad the year before too.
Yeah,
so nice to get them back.
Exactly.
And being Wesleyan always means a lot to Coach Furbush, of course, because Coach Riley coached him here at Bates. So, Billy, I know that for me, at least in regards to you, Maine Maritime with the Navigators there, but how about what are your thoughts on most memorable games from your point of view?
As soon as you asked the question, I immediately thought of the Middlebury game because Gilpin's shot, that was just pure bliss. And like, whether you're, in the game or on the bench, like you just absolutely dream of being a part of those games and like getting to experience that feeling of just, making a beeline like straight for your guy, like as soon as he hits that shot. And it was such an exciting game, especially because I remember freshman year, we had a tragic loss against them and it was an unbelievable game. Like Mort had like a baseline and one dunk, like 3-point play. Spellman had some like sick dunk coming down the lane to like, tie it really close together at the end. So to kind of bring it full circle and have Gilp send us into the playoffs with that shot was unbelievable. But I would also be remiss, obviously, if I didn't, mention personally the Maine Maritime game, because it just, I got to kind of tie together the two biggest parts of my extracurricular life at Bates, and, got to hoop with David and, the guys on the bench. And, we had that sweet give and go connection. It was just an all around. I got to chat with you after the game. It was just a fun day, so I'll never forget that.
Yeah, definitely. And this, you mentioned it off the court. I kind of want to go around the panel, sort of talk about off the court stuff you've done at Bates. And Billy, we'll start with you because I know this is a big week for the Special Olympics Club. What's happening this week? I'll give you a chance to plug it here.
Absolutely, shameless plug. So it's virtual college championship week, and it's presented by Special Olympics North America and ESPN. So it's a national kind of competition, and it's a great opportunity for our club. Celine actually reached out to Bridget and I, the club leaders, about this opportunity, and we jumped on it because obviously it's been a really tough year to get things going in our club because we thrive on getting together and playing sports and doing team activities. So to have something like this where although it's virtual, we can kind of get together and do some really fun different activities, get a good message out there. It's been a blast, and I've been really appreciative that people have been supportive of it and willing to participate. It's been great.
David, I know you're part of the Agents of Change group. How's that been going? I know it's a fairly new organization, but you're one of the leaders, right?
Yeah, definitely. Bates Agents of Change was a group we were able to start this year that kind of focused on highlighting and uplifting and supporting athletes of color at Bates. Me personally, I'm one of the lucky few that gets to be a part of a team that's very diverse, but there's not a lot of students who have the opportunity or have that support system that I think I have. So what we're trying to do is create this organization that not only provides community, but provide resources that not only changes their experiences, but the experience of the Bates community as a whole, as well as uplifting and outreaching the places in the Lewiston community. So how can we help the youth? How can we help youth sports? How can we help the community that we take so much from? So that's kind of what Bates Agent of Change is all about.
Terrific. And then off the court for you, James, where has been some impactful things at Bates for you?
Yeah, I mean, being part of that group as well with David is big for me. Just kind of learning and putting forth resources like that, definitely huge. As well with Bill, just like jumping into practices last year with the Special Olympics, that was definitely memorable. My religion minor, I've met some great professors. Professor Marcus Bruce and Ali Akhtar have been big for getting me through these 4 years and really kind of shifting my focus from like an econ to more of a humanities, history, religion. So it's been great. Yeah.
Raheem, I know you're a biochemistry major. What are some impactful things that's happened at Bates for you through at least 4 years off the court, perhaps?
Yeah, I would probably echo something similar to James's. The times I stepped in Special Olympics were really, really fun and profound, and I really appreciate Bill for putting that together and just like being that guy for us. And then I guess my thesis advisor, Matthew Cote, and his wife, Jennifer Cote, they're like really good professors, and they've helped me a lot throughout my 4 years here. So I think they've impacted me in great ways that I'll take on further.
Terrific. Well, we'll go around once more. Just any other thoughts you want to share about your time at Bates? Could be basketball related, could be not, that you wanted to talk about before we sign off here. We'll start with Billy here.
I think it would be good to just, think about what a unique year it's been. And I speak for, my guys here when I say that it's going to be weird to like look back at the schedule and see a 0-0 in the win-loss column. But like, I guess in a year like this, you have to just go back to the old definition of like what success is. And it's, have we really applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand? And I would say that, we certainly have. It's been an awesome year. We've gotten a lot better. It's a really, really tight group. And, I think that we should never look at it as like a wash. Like this was the COVID team. This was a really special group that did a special thing. And I think that, everyone's going to see that, come November next year and what those guys do. It's going to be awesome. So I'm really excited for them.
Awesome. Raheem, any other thoughts you wanted to share?
I guess I got like a little quick remark. I just like how like us as seniors have it's been really good to like our other teammates, especially the freshmen. We've had like a tight-knit community that I don't really remember much of as a freshman. I think it goes a long way that we have that with our freshmen, in our underclassmen. So that's huge. And I hope we can continue that for next year as well, you know.
David, how about for you? Final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts. I would just say, just like all four of us have like learned this embrace the wrench mentality that our coach Furbush tells us a lot about, and just the idea of the power that comes with facing adversity, and how this year has been the ultimate wrench, like for us collectively, but also individually. But like, I think we've all seen how like with adversity, we can like learn so many things, not only about ourselves, but about ways that we can like move forward, like and adapt and like build. So I think though we have so many like negatives that people see in this year, I think there's so many opportunities for growth. And I think we've all, like each and every one of us have seized that opportunity.
Great. James?
Yeah, I'll just echo that. And the wrench in that story has definitely been kind of the core of our team, and just doing the hard work when no one's looking. And, you know, this year has definitely been tough for everyone. And it's just about putting one foot in front of the other and keep going. So there's no other people that I'd rather be doing it with, and I'm happy that we're here and we're graduating. So it's been a pleasure.
Terrific. These are our four senior captains for Bates men's basketball: David Akinyemi, Raheem, Spence, Billy Lahart, and James Mortimer. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Aaron.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Head coach Jon Furbush salutes the Bates senior class, which includes the four captains and Sonny Piplani, who returned to the team as a player after serving as a student coach during his junior year.
Yeah, big picture, these guys exemplified what leadership is given the circumstances of this COVID era. I still remember the day in October, when I had to tell these guys that we weren't going to have a season. And initially it was a very difficult blow for these guys, but within 24 hours, they reached back out to have another meeting and say, how can we make this right? How can we give back to the program? And I just thought it was an incredible, unselfish thing that they did as a class to make sure that they leave their legacy. And so I think to have that mindset as a group was really impressive to me. And I think that has shown in the about 30 workouts we've had over the course of this year. I mean, these guys have fully invested into their senior year, even though it's not at all what they pictured it to be. So this is a class that I will forever remember. I think they laid an incredible foundation for the future Bobcats. And, it's just really unfortunate that some of these guys didn't get a chance to wear the jersey this year the way they had hoped.
James Mortimer, number 3, guard and forward, history major from Massachusetts, played right away as a first year, right?
Oh, yeah. He's been a really important contributor since he's stepped on the court as a freshman. He's a tough one because he's really talented. He was playing with some other really talented players that were a year older than him, but he always found his place on the court. And the thing about James that's so good, he's kind of like camouflage. He knows how to play with guys. I think everyone that's played with him over his 4 years has really enjoyed being a teammate of his, because he just knows how to play the game the right way. But he's also super skilled and can score and he can defend. He does a lot of good things on the court. And this would have been a really big breakout year for James. I think he, when just watching him, even in the limited pickup we had this year, I was like, wow, man, now that some of the seniors from last year are gone, that cast a pretty big shadow. I mean, he was a really talented player. And I hope that he pursues graduate school and finds his way onto some roster to prolong his basketball career, because he's somebody that can make some noise.
Is that something he's looking to do?
Yeah, we've had some initial conversations. He's throwing some applications out there. I mean, some are to, mid-major Division I's, which, for him, like when you're a senior in the NESCAC and you have 3 years of experience, I mean, he can play there. Is he going to like start there? Probably not, but he won't look out of place in a practice setting at all. So, I hope that he does pursue it, because I know how much basketball does mean to him. And, it's unfortunate we don't have grad school at Bates.
Right. David Akinyemi, number 5, a guard from Virginia, physics major, a 3-time NESCAC Winter All-Academic Selection, and that's the most you can earn that honor. Obviously, big time on and off the court, right?
David's fantastic. Yeah, he's been an incredible leader for us with everything involved in the program. He's really exemplified Bobcat basketball in my mind, and he would have had a much bigger role this year. And I it's unfortunate to say that, and it's easy for me to say that in this type of setting, but The kid's a worker, and I think everything he's got, he's earned. Super bright. The kid's going to have a very successful future. And I think everything he's done on the court and off the court for all the guys that have been his teammates has really been an incredible thing for them to see what success is supposed to look like. So I've always enjoyed the conversations I had with David, and he's really challenged me as a coach to think in ways I haven't thought before. So I'm going to miss that kid a lot.
Excellent. And then number 10, Sunny Piplani, a 6'8" forward from Singapore, major in political economy. And he's had quite the interesting ride here, right? He had some injuries. He became a student coach with you, I believe, last season, was going to be on the team this year again. Tell me a little bit about Sunny's kind of journey through the program.
Well, so yeah, Sunny's been invested in a lot of different ways in the program. Certainly came in as like a pick and pop specialist. The kid can really shoot it. And, definitely battled some injuries and, made some decisions on some internships and some summer jobs. That's really going to help his future, where when he had that debate between like, all right, I'm injured. What can I do to help the program without jeopardizing my future at the same time? And so we had a lot of good conversations about how he can kind of do both that worked out in both our favors. And then, it's been hard for me this spring because like, he's such a high IQ guy, and he's done some really good things with this new offense we're putting in place that it would have been great to see him in it. But it's been great just to have him in any capacity he's been given to us. And he's definitely somebody that has always expressed gratitude for the opportunity he's had here. So that doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm grateful for his time and commitment.
And then number 13, Billy Lahart, NESCAC winner, all academic selection 3 times, also an all sportsmanship selection twice. President of the Special Olympics Club here. He does it all, doesn't he?
He is, yeah, he's going to be, it's hard to put into words appreciation I have for Billy. He's, there's so many vivid memories I have with him, when he got into Bates and he drove up to campus just to meet with me and talk about, his potential role. Is he going to be on the team? Does he have to try out? And we've had some really great dialogue. He's worked his tail off. I think one thing I'll say about Billy is that his definition of hard work is different than anyone else I've ever coached. And he leaves nothing to chance. The kid's a winner. And this kid has helped me so much since this academic year began, just keeping things organized with the guys. We've had to sort of fly by the seat of our pants with everything, not knowing at 4:30 practice, at 4:28, we could get a call that 2 kids are positive and 4 close contacts and we're shut down. And so he was so on top of everything. And it really would have been great to see what he could have done this year, because that kid has earned it. And I think anybody, whether they're an athlete or not, on this campus that knows Billy has something incredible to say about him. And he's I'm gonna miss not having him around. Even he started a yoga session for us at the end of practice. So this year we had, he put him in a sort of a circle, and he went through like a 20-minute post-stretch routine that has really helped our recovery. So I was telling everybody to take notice, because he's not going to be here next year to do that. So there's a million things I could say about him, but love the kid, and I know he's going to have a lot of success next year.
Well, and the game that stands out to me was when Bates beat Maine Maritime in a game where the Navigators, which Billy works with closely, the Special Olympics Club, were there, and Billy played in the game and got a huge round of applause that I'm sure everyone noticed. I mean, that was, sometimes you think, oh, it's just a non-conference game, kind of middle of the week, but that was a pretty impactful moment. I felt like that whole time.
Yeah, that was amazing too. Yeah. And, he got in there, and, every time he touched the ball, there was just an electricity in the gym that wasn't there before that. And that's the other thing too, like just every Wednesday I would come in for the better part of 2 or 3 years, and he was in there, helping the Special Olympics team with practice. And he was just so invested. And I know before one of the practices we had this spring, he was on a Zoom call trying to recruit the next president and talk about the importance of what he's done. And so everything for him is always bigger than himself and the program. And Bates, I think he's really trying to do the right thing in the game of life. And I admire that, and, have a ton of respect for him.
And then last but certainly not least, another team captain, Raheem Spence from Nantucket, biochemistry major, and, finally got some significant playing time as a junior, right? Another guy who you just wish we'd seen what he could do this senior year, right?
Oh yeah, big time. He he was out all freshman year with an injury that, by the time, I think he got to layup lines in our last game his freshman year when he was fully cleared and healthy. And he did this like crazy windmill, this like thing that you can't teach. He just has some DNA that's like, wow, that was incredible. But again, similar to James, he was behind a couple guys and came to practice every day, worked his butt off, super skilled, and played some big minutes last year in conference play in the playoffs and was really effective. And not to give it away yet, but I'm fairly confident he'll be coming back for a 9th semester. So we may see him one more winter potentially. Don't want to
Okay.
Give it away too much. So but I think there's a small chance we'll get him back for NESCAC season next winter. So
interesting.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit less emotional about him knowing that he'll be here, but I can't say enough about him either. He's quiet, but when you get to know him, he's a really fascinating young man that I think, once he gains a little more confidence, this kid's going to flourish in everything that he does.
So January 2022, watch out for the men's basketball roster. See if Raheem's on there, right? Yeah.
He's definitely he's gonna shake up. Yeah, if that is the case, the guys that are playing in the first semester, you shouldn't get too comfortable.
Okay, excellent. I'm sure men's basketball fans are interested in how the scrimmage against Bowdoin went. I mean, I know Bowdoin didn't have a full team, but you guys were able to scrimmage them. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, they only brought 6 guys over, and I think 4 of them were like post players, so it was a little bit slower, which was fine because we actually have a pretty big roster right now, so we were able to match up height wise. But it was just great to play somebody different. It really wasn't a scrimmage. It was more like sort of 3 8-minute segments of controlled scrimmaging. But for me, it was good to see. I played everybody, just to see what they can do against somebody other than ourselves. And it was really reassuring that the guys had put in work in this off season. Sometimes it's hard to see in practice, and now when I saw it in that type of setting, I was like, okay, some of these guys got a lot better, got a lot more confident. And then some of my young guys surprised me too. I didn't know what to expect, but I think, them knowing that might be their only form of competition this year. I mean, they were bringing every ounce, everything they had to that moment. So I'm super optimistic about the future, and I'll be interested to see how things shake out at Bowdoin now that they're in search of a new coach.
Right, it definitely changes afoot in the NESCAC. But Jon Furbush, any other thoughts you want to share about this senior class we haven't gotten to talk about yet?
Not just to my seniors, but all the seniors here that are dealing with this. We have a culture of what's called the wrench, and I'll save you this story. It's probably not appropriate for this Bobcast anyways, but what everyone's dealing with right now as an athlete is the ultimate wrench. And we've always said it's embrace what is hard. And it makes you feel alive. It makes you feel like you have purpose. It gives you a challenge every day. And so, the easy thing to do is be selfish and say, oh, I didn't get this or that. But I think what we've done is really look at it from what we've been able to do during this time that maybe others haven't been able to do. And so, my message to all those guys has been just appreciate the moments you have together, because, I was saying every day in the gym, like when you walk out today, this could have been the last day. We're a sneeze or a cough away from, we don't have practice tomorrow. So we just got to try to find a way to appreciate what it is that we have and not focus on what we don't.
Next time on the Bates Bobcast, sports return again. The lacrosse programs take on Colby this Sunday. The tennis teams will visit Trinity. The rowing teams race at Tufts, and the golf teams tee off at Martindale Country Club. We'll recap it all next time on the Bates Bobcast.